So let's proceed with 219. The solubility of a chemical in a given solvent is influenced by many factors. Which of the following physico-chemical constants may not be useful in predicting the solubility of a chemical? This is your solubility parameters. So your pH, your pH of a solution, your dielectric constants, your pKa of the chemical, So, walang sagot dito. So, lahat, your pH, your dielectric constants, your pKa, and your solubility parameters are useful in predicting the solubility of a chemical. Number 220. So, sa 219, walang tamang answer. 220. Which of the following glass types does not contain soda lime? That is your type 1 glass, or that is also known as your borosilicate glass, and it does not contain soda lime. Your type 2 is your soda lime silicate with special treatment to increase the hydrolytic resistance. So your type 2 has a high hydrolytic resistance. Your type 3 is also known as your soda lime silicate with average hydrolytic resistance. And your type 4 is the general purpose soda lime with low hydrolytic resistance. So I repeat, your type 1 glass or your borosilicate glass does not contain your soda lime. Your type 2 is your soda lime silicate with special treatment to increase the hydrolytic resistance. Your type 3 is a soda lime silicate with an average hydrolytic resistance. And lastly, your type 4, which is your general purpose soda lime silicate, which has a low hydrolytic resistance. Number 221. The shrinkage occurring between the mixture of alcohol and purified water is primarily due to hydrogen bonding. So, hydrogen bonding, this is between highly electronegative atoms such as your fluorine, oxygen, chlorine, nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur. So, the hydrogen atom will serve to hold two other atoms together. So, the high electronegative atoms are your fluorine, oxygen, chlorine, nitrogen, and sulfur in order. So, your most electronegative is your fluorine, your second most electronegative is your oxygen, and your third most electronegative is your chlorine. Okay? That will be the order of electronegativity. Your fluorine, oxygen, chlorine, nitrogen, and sulfur. Number 222. Calculate pH of a 0.08F solution of HCN. Ka is 7.2 times 10 negative 10. So, ang equation nito, 7 point your Ka times X is equal to the pH Kb. So, 7.2 times 10 negative 10 times X is equal to 1 times 10 negative 14, which is constant. So, the result is 19.12 minus 14, that is 5.12. Letter A. 223. A disease found in Japan caused by drinking contaminated with cadmium, that is your Itay-Itay disease. Kapag Minamata naman, that is caused by your methyl mercury poisoning. Minamata, methyl mercury poisoning. Your Crohn's disease, it is an autoimmune disease which is related to inflammatory bowel disorder. Your Crohn's disease. Your Addison's disease, this is due to your adrenal insufficiency. So, kapag Minamata, that is your methyl mercury poisoning, and your Itay-Itay is caused by the contaminated water due to cadmium. Number 224. Which of the following is not a factor in influencing equilibrium of a chemical reaction? The answer is none of the above. So the four choices here is a factor in influencing equilibrium of a chemical reaction, which are your nature of reactant, changes in pressure, temperature changes, and concentration changes. So these are the factors in influencing equilibrium of a chemical reaction. So number 225, it contains iron in solution or in suspension and are characterized by a ferruginous taste. So that is your chalybeate water. The presence of iron in solution or suspension, which is characterized by ferruginous taste, is your chalybeate water. So, paki-take note din ang mga to. Your alkaline water contains sodium sulfate and magnesium sulfate plus sodium bicarbonate. So, alkaline water contains sodium sulfate, magnesium sulfate plus sodium bicarbonate. Carbonated water is charged with carbon dioxide under pressure. Carbonated water is charged with carbon dioxide under pressure. Your chalybeate water contains iron in solution, characterized by a ferruginous taste. Your lithia water, from the word lithia, it contains lithium in the form of carbonate or chloride. So, the presence of lithium in the form of carbonate or chloride. Saline water, sometimes they are called as the purgative waters. Your saline water is known as your purgative waters. Your sulfur water, it contains hydrogen sulfide. Your siliceous water contain very small quantities of soluble alkali silicates, from the word siliceous. So, meron siyang alkali silicates. And your potable water that is fit to drink. So, there are types of water. There are 7 types of water. Your alkaline, your carbonated, your chalybeate, your lithia, your saline, your sulfur, your siliceous, and your potable water. Ulitin natin. Yung alkaline contains sodium sulfate plus magnesium sulfate and sodium bicarbonate. Yung carbonated water, it is charged with carbon dioxide under pressure. So, from the word carbonated. So, carbon dioxide under pressure. Chalybeate, which contains iron in solution or suspension, characterized by a ferruginous taste. Yung ferruginous taste is due to the presence of your iron in the solution or suspension. Lithia water, from the word lithia, meron siyang lithium in the form of carbonate or chloride. So, the presence of lithium carbonate or lithium chloride. Next is your saline water, which is known as your purgative waters. Sulfur water, which contains your hydrogen sulfide. Your siliceous water, which is the presence of small amount of alkali silicates. And your potable, which is fit to drink. Okay. Number 226. Which of the following glass types makes use of water attack test type? That is your type 2 or your soda lime silica with treatment. So, soda lime silica, in the presence of a special treatment in order to increase the hydrolytic resistance of the glass. So, your type 2 makes use of water attack test type. 227. This refers to an electrically neutral unit formed when two or more atoms are joined together by covalent bond, that is your molecule. So, a molecule is the smallest particle of a pure chemical substance that retains its composition and properties. So, that is your molecule. Number 228. Which of the following is not an action of sulfur? That is letter E. So, your Reye's syndrome. So, your Reye's syndrome is connected to your aspirin. Your aspirin is known to increase the risk of Reye's syndrome. So, cathartic, parasiticide, fumigation, and depilatories are the action of your sulfur. These are the uses of your sulfur: cathartic, parasiticide, fumigation, and depilatories. Number 229. This compound is primarily used in the preparation of Fleming's solution. That is your sublimed sulfur, or also known as your flower of sulfur. This is used in the preparation of sulfurated lime solution or your Fleming solution. So, your Fleming solution is also known as your sulfurated lime solution. And this is primarily used in the treatment of scabicide. Treatment of scabicide. Again, your sublime sulfur is also known as your flower of sulfur, which is used in the preparation of your Fleming solution, which is also known as your sulfurated lime solution, which is used in the preparation of scabicide. Okay. Milk of sulfur. Your milk of sulfur is a sublime sulfur boiled with lime water. So, milk of sulfur, it is a sublime sulfur boiled with lime water. Your zinc oxide here is a component of your calamine with ferric, together with ferric. So, your zinc oxide is the active ingredient in your calamine or calamine preparations. Lithium carbonate, or also known as lethane, which is used in the treatment of several types of mood disorders. And your chlorine dioxide, which is used as a disinfectant for drinking water. Number 230. Iron sorbitex is a chemical complex of all of the above. So, iron sorbitex is a chemical complex of iron, sorbitol, citric acid, and dextrine. So it is a chemical complex of iron, sorbitol, citric acid with dextrine, and these are used as a stabilizer. So iron sorbitex is a parenteral which is only used as intramuscular. So iron sorbitex is used only as an intramuscular parenteral. Number 231, the following are constituents of Luz paste except your silver nitrate. So, the constituents of your Luz paste is your Luz, LAZ, your liquid petroleum, your aluminum powder, and your zinc oxide. Liquid petrolatum, aluminum powder, and your zinc oxide is the constituent of your Luz paste. So the exception here is the silver nitrate. Okay, number 232. Which of the following is not an indication of hypophosphatemia? That is your hypervitaminosis D. From the word hypophosphatemia, meaning low absorption of phosphates. Hypo, decrease or low absorption of phosphates. Whereas your hypervitaminosis D can cause an increased absorption of phosphates. That is why that is not an indication of your hypophosphatemia. So your hyperparathyroidism, your lack of phosphate reabsorption is an indication of your hypophosphatemia. So kung yung question naman dito is hyperphosphatemia, the indication is your hypervitaminosis D. Okay. Number 233. This formula can be determined given the percent composition by mass of the compound. So, that is your empirical formula. Empirical formula. The definition of empirical formula. 234. The unit for molar mass of carbon-12 is gram. So, the unit for molar mass of carbon-12 is gram. 235. If enthalpy is positive, the reaction is endothermic. So, endothermic, it is a reaction in which a system absorbs heat from its surroundings. So, if the enthalpy is positive, the reaction is endothermic. So, if the enthalpy is negative, the reaction is exothermic, meaning there is the release of heat from its surroundings. That is your exothermic. (236) The color of the flame produced by lithium, that is crimson red. Crimson red. Kung napapansin nyo, paulit-ulit yung mga luminous flame or your color of the flame. Usually kasi lumalabas ito lahat sa board exam. Okay? So you have to memorize that. The color of the flame produced by lithium, that is your crimson red. Kapag yellow-green naman, yellow-green, emerald green, or general na green, that is your copper. Kapag brick red naman, that is your calcium. Violet, that is potassium. Okay? Yellow-green, emerald green, that is your copper. Crimson red, that is your lithium. Brick red, calcium. Violet, potassium. Memorize that. Number 237, hyperphosphatemia may be found in hypoparathyroidism. So, hypoparathyroidism causes hyperphosphatemia through a failure to inhibit renal proximal tubule phosphate reabsorption. So, kung sa kanina, yung hypophosphatemia, it is found in hyperparathyroidism. Dito naman, yung hyperphosphatemia may be found in hypoparathyroidism. Okay? Kapag hypophosphatemia, hyperparathyroidism. Kapag hyperphosphatemia, hypoparathyroidism. Okay. Number 238. It is an official antidote for phosphorus poisoning, that is your blue vitriol, or known as your cupric sulfate. So your blue vitriol again is your cupric sulfate. Your white vitriol is your zinc sulfate. Your green vitriol is your ferrous sulfate. And your oil vitriol is your concentrated sulfuric acid. So I repeat, your blue vitriol is your copper sulfate or cupric sulfate. White vitriol is your zinc sulfate. Your green vitriol is your ferrous sulfate. And your oil of vitriol, it is the concentrated sulfuric acid. So your cupric sulfate is an antidote for phosphorus poisoning. 239. Which of the following elements acts as a catalyst for the storage and release of iron? That is your letter B, copper. So the use of copper as a catalyst to promote assimilation of iron is based on the work of Hart, Steenbock et al. So your copper is used as a catalyst in the storage or release of iron. Number 240, which of the following mineral is important in the antioxidant capabilities of your vitamin E? That is your selenium. So your selenium is an essential component of your enzyme glutathione peroxidase. So selenium is a component of your glutathione peroxidase, which is important in the antioxidant properties of your vitamin E. Vitamin E. 241. In a redox reaction, the oxidizing agent is reduced. Again, that is your VD0. Remember your VD0, valence decrease, gain of electron, resulting to reduction, and the agent is your oxidizing agent. Your V-Leora, increase valence, loss of electron, oxidation, and your reducing agent. So, number 242, radioactive substances are characterized by unstable nucleus, emitting radiation, and low proton-neuron ratio. So, the answer here is all of the above. So, characteristics of a radioactive substance: unstable nucleus, emitting radiation, and low proton-neutron ratio. Number 243, the rate of decay of radioactive substance is expressed in terms of half-life. So, the rate of decay of radioactive substances is expressed in terms of half-life. Number 244, crystallization in supersaturated solution may be induced by stirring the solution, seeding, scratching the inside wall of the test tube. So that is the answer here is all of the above, letter D. So crystallization in supersaturated solution may be induced by stirring the solution. Number 1, seeding and scratching the inside wall of the test tube. 245, different nuclides have the same mass numbers. That is your isobar. Kapag same neutrons naman, they are called as your isotones. So, same mass number, that is your isobars. Same neutrons, that is your isotones. 246, principle which states that it is impossible to accurately determine simultaneously the position and motion of an electron. That is your Heisenberg uncertainty principle. The word here is impossible. You connect it with uncertainty. So, impossible and uncertainty. So, Heisenberg uncertainty principle. 247, which is not a colligative property. So, what is a colligative property? Those that are independent of the kinds of molecules in solution, but are dependent on the number of molecules present. So, your colligative is dependent on the number of molecules present and independent in the kind of molecules in solution. So, the answer here is your melting point. Your freezing point depression, your boiling point elevation, and your vapor pressure lowering are your colligative properties. Wait. 248, when orbitals are of the same energy, electrons distribute themselves one to each orbital before pairing according to letter C, Hand's rule of multiplicity. Hand's rule of multiplicity. So the electrons will distribute first to each orbital and then it will pair according to before pairing. So the electrons will distribute themselves to Dano? Nirumwar da ngay ma'am tatay? Adada mo tatay. So that is your Hand's rule of multiplicity. Number 249, the following underlined elements has positive 5 oxidation state except your letter D, that is sodium antimony oxide. Okay. Number 250, if 1 mole of oxygen molecule weighs 32 grams, how many molecules are present in 1 mole of oxygen? So take note, 1 mole of your Avogadro's constant is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd power. Memorize, 1 mole of compound is equal to your Avogadro's number, which is your 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd power. That is constant, meaning hindi siya nagbabago. So, 1 mole is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd power. Number 251, a reducing agent is oxidized, meaning it loses electron. Okay. Okay. Number 252. Anode is an electrode where oxidation takes place. So, anode is an electrode where oxidation takes place. Oxidation meaning loses electron. Okay, number 253. No two electrons in an atom can have all four quantum numbers that are the same. That is your Pauli's exclusion principle. Pauli's exclusion principle. According to him, no two electrons in an atom can have all four quantum numbers the same. So, you have to memorize again the principles such as your Pauli's, your Planck's, and your Hund's rule of multiplicity, and your Aufbau principle. Number 254. These are physical properties except your oxidation of iron, because that is a chemical property. Oxidation of iron. So, the physical properties are the malleability of metals, volatility of alcohols, and solubility of sugar. Number 255, a system in which two opposing reactions are proceeding at the same rate meaning that is your chemical equilibrium, meaning they have in the same rate, that is your chemical equilibrium, letter A. Number 256, going across a period from left to right, from bottom to top, in the periodic table, which of the following periodicity laws decrease? That is your atomic size. So, going across the period from your group 1A to group 8A, that is your left to right, and then from bottom to top, that is your atomic size. So, nagdi-decrease yung atomic size niya. Number 257, the most abundant metal and the third most abundant element in the Earth's crust is your aluminum. Aluminum is the most abundant metal and the third most abundant element. So, your most abundant element, again, is most abundant and most essential, that is your oxygen. And your third most abundant, that is your aluminum. However, it is the most abundant metal. Number 258. Which of the following is a polyatomic molecule and a compound? That is your oxygen. So, oxygen is a polyatomic molecule and a compound. Number 259. Which of the following statement is true of a 2MHA, a weak acid at equilibrium? That is your letter B. So, at equilibrium, the concentrations are equal. So, at equilibrium, the concentrations are equal. So, dapat yung H at saka A mo, dapat equal. So, that is letter B. 260. Which of the following body fluids is least acidic? That is your letter D. pH 7.4. pH 7.4. So, acidity increases as the numerical value of pH decreases. So, increased pH is basic, decreased pH is your acids, and kapag 7 pH, that is neutral. So, your gastric juice and your urine and saliva are acidic. Your tears are basic. 261. What is the effect of adding ammonium chloride to a solution of ammonium OH? Decrease hydroxide concentration. So, kapag pinag-add nyo yung ammonium chloride plus ammonium hydroxide, the result will B. Ammonium plus hydrochloric acid. So, nawawala yung hydroxide concentration.